stop.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the next Industry 5.0 Wasteless War Talks, where me and the members of my global family, we write on a back of language towards wasteless war by taking one word out of the English vocabulary and speaking about it for 40 minutes, which is something almost nobody can imagine, but we do it for more than 3 years. And we do it today as well. And the term today is stop. And Kevin, I have you on the top of my screen, so you will be first today. If you heard a minute ago the term stop, what came first to your mind, please?
First to mind is that we hear the word stop more and more and more and more. It's becoming, it's the calling cry of the intolerant. Stop this, stop that. We must stop this. We must stop that. We must stop them. It's, it's an intolerant word these days.
That's interesting. What about you, Bill? What came to your mind?
That's very interesting. And what came to my mind is not nearly on the same plane as that. Uh, you said stop, and all I can think of is a stop sign. Do you have stop signs in Prague?
Yes.
You do. Okay. But it doesn't say stop. What does it say?
It does. Exactly the
It
same.
says stop?
Written
Oh,
the same.
good.
You,
Good.
you know what is interesting? That generally, despite of languages having different term for stop, like halt in Germany or others,
Right.
if you say
That's right.
stop in any country, the people will behave the same. So
Well,
it is
that goes
one of
back
the
to what Kevin that goes back to what Kevin said. It's a universal intolerance word. Wow.
it is, and I was surprised by that because of the heat stroke I told you ago about which hit me 2 days ago, and it didn't stop me completely, but slow me down in unbelievable manner. Even now, I don't feel best. My brain is overheating under the skin, and you can feel it generally. But I feel better already. And I was thinking, okay. And then the term stop came to my mind. And it's quite interesting that some people see only negatives, but other people see mainly positive connected with the term stop.
That's interesting. Uh, I see stop. I see my grandchildren, and I am very actively trying not to say stop to them. I want them to experience and to go and explore, and I don't want granddaddy standing behind him saying, "Stop this! Don't touch that!" You know, I want them to experience the world.
There's one version of stop which I'm always really jealous that Americans have and we don't, and that is knock it off. I think it's such a wonderful expression because it's more than just stop.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, I have no idea, but it's terrific because it automatically implies that whatever you're doing, you shouldn't be doing.
You
Where
know,
did
you
that come
mentioned,
from?
Bill, the street sign generally, which many people see as a positive sign because, you know, if it's not there, you can be hit by car. And just a few days ago, there was a footage from a camera here in Pilsen where a kick scooter rider rides on a walk across the street, but the cars had a red light and he was riding there and a car hit him. And it's all on the camera. And you know, if he will be not driving there, probably another 5 people will be hit by the same car. But he was the unlucky guy who was there first.
Yeah, I know how that feels. A few years ago, I was riding my bike. I have a very interesting recumbent bike. It's a 26-inch recumbent bike. So the feet are out in front and I ran a stop sign. I thought I knew what those cars were doing, and I ran the stop sign. Car hit me and threw me onto the sidewalk, maybe 10 feet, and I broke my helmet. Uh, Luckily, nothing else was broken. It was my fault, totally my fault. Um, but I started to appreciate stop signs a lot more.
Any similar experience, Kevin?
I was just thinking that in Denmark, the signs also say stop. It's the same word, but in Denmark, everybody obeys the stop sign. The same in Germany. But when you drive when you drive in Italy, all street signs, traffic signs, they're merely suggestions. So I love driving in Italy because if you do actually stop at a sign and you got foreign number plates, they will kindly wind down the windows and say, it's only a suggestion. Keep going, keep going.
I am planning my
That's
trip to Italy with Jane, so I hope by car, and I hope I will meet only the good Italian.
It's lovely driving in Italy because
Yep.
the drivers they all communicate with each other.
Mhm.
It's more of it's a mass movement. It's not an individual thing.
what do you mean they all communicate with each other?
If I was waiting and the traffic light was red, and the guys behind they're all saying, "You can go, you can go," and even people the other way would, said that they
Yeah,
take
yeah.
care of each other in the traffic. Because if you follow the laws, it's going to be mayhem. So they've adapted all the laws to suit themselves. And if they can see you're a foreigner in a foreign car, then they're really kind, they're really helpful, which you can't say in France.
So are there no policemen to give you a ticket if you run a red light?
I've never experienced that. I got a parking ticket once in Italy, but never saw a policeman.
So the policeman never came to your car and rolled down your window and said, "Stop it."
Nope, no,
No,
even
no
going
stop.
through, because I was worried going through red lights that there'd be a camera or something, but there were no consequences. And everyone behind, everyone was encouraging me, so they all came behind me as
Yep,
well.
yep, yep.
I think
Interesting.
maybe all the police officers. I have a bad experience in Italy with police officers. I was there hitchhiking when I was 18 or so, and we slept on the beach. Then I go to wash myself, and on the back I have a knife which I made in a steel factory to cut the wood, grass, or not grass, bread, and so on. And I was in the cabin where I was washing myself, and then knocking on the door very hard. I was thinking, so they will wait for a minute because I was there. Then I open up the door. They kick me on the back of the cabin with a machine gun on my head. Very unpleasant, very unpleasant. And
Really?
they show the knife. They say the word Rambo, and they take me away from the beach. And there has been
Rambo.
three of my friends. I didn't know where they go. I didn't speak any Italian. They didn't speak any German or English. I just said to friends, they are taking me somewhere. I just took the passport. Then I spent about 4 to 6 hours in the police cell. And then they call me, show the knife. I said again, bread and wood. They said no. Then there was a smaller so-called butterfly knife, which I use for smaller things. Again, they say no. And released me. I didn't know where I was. It was in 1992 or something like that. No GPS, nothing like that. It was very unpleasant. The next day, we went to some market. They have the butterfly knives in the size of a sword, so not 10 centimeters, but really double. It opened a double. So I was curious, but I lost both. So I have not a good experience there, but maybe all the other policemen are in the Italian movies, where all of them are chasing the other policemen and so on.
I remember the first time I ever saw a Swiss policeman. I couldn't believe how their uniforms were extremely impressive, and they looked extremely expensive. And we were on a magic bus going down to Athens, and the Swiss guy came on, and he was looking through everything, and there was two young guys from Wales, and they said to him, "If you're looking for the drugs, they're underneath." And we never saw them again. They were dragged off the bus. They had to unload all the bottom of the bus, take their stuff out, put everything else back in, and off they went in
Some
handcuffs.
people, they just don't have a sense of humor.
Nope, none at all. But expensive uniforms.
Do you think that that the term stop is somehow the one of the first pre-programming languages of human behavior? Because we hear it frequently as a children. We see it in a factories. We all our life we see stop signs, or we listen to that, and everybody does understand. It looks like pre-programming the human mind with the term, because the term is very simple. I'm not sure.
I know with my grandchildren, if they are about to, I don't know, touch a hot stove or do something that is going to cause them pain, that's the word that comes out. Stop. Only much louder. Because somehow you need to shock them into stopping. And that's what they do. They absolutely stop, freeze, and then look around like, what is it I'm not supposed to be doing? So it's well understood, and I guess it's well understood around the world.
Interestingly, I think it's also, the animal kingdom doesn't speak, they don't have language like we do. But there's other signals to warn, to say stop immediately. If you hear rattlesnakes rattle, that's going to stop you dead in your tracks.
Yeah. So I hear that animals do have languages. Uh, the whale or the dolphin, for example, will squeak. Where was I just reading the other day that they even give each other names?
Wow.
So so do they have the word stop?
I think that
Yeah,
what
it's
they
one of the,
yes, Kevin, sorry.
I was going to say, it must be one of the, if you could choose 20 essential words, stop is going to be one of them.
Yes.
What is the opposite?
Go.
Or start?
Yeah, carry
So
on.
if my grandson says, "Can I, Granddad, can I go?" Or the word that he'll understand is go. I mean, maybe he'll say it with a question mark. Go? Go ahead. I think. Or maybe there's another
No, I think
opposite.
you're right, because something like continue, because if someone says stop, it's to stop you doing something. So the opposite of that is to let them carry on.
You know,
Carry on.
I just wonder if the 8 billion people say stop to the few who rule the world, to the giants, if they be so scared and run away, because it will be very loud. And I think there is even in the stop, it's so short, but at the same time, it's a very powerful word. It's because of its short, because of its sharpness, I will say. It's quite interesting. I just yesterday I saw I don't know how it's called, on Harvard. They have this ceremony at the end of each year, and there spoke Conan O'Brien. He has a great speech. He was studying at Harvard, which I did not know. So I said it's a great speech. I put it in the newsletter, and today I saw a speech of a student, 19 or 18 years old. It was even better than a Conan. It was unbelievable how strong the speech was for such a young man. And he used the term stop as well. It was very interesting, very interesting. So maybe I'm not sure if we should use, because at the beginning you said, Kevin, that the word stop is being spoken too frequently today, much more frequently than before. But is it so, or do we need more?
It's us who are being told stop. It's not us telling the elites to stop. It's the elites telling us to stop. And I think that's the problem. More and more and more and more.
Hmm.
You know, now they want to restrict travel. So travel is something that has to be stopped. You know, it's yeah, just hear it too much.
Hmm.
Rather than stop, what they're trying to tell us is they're trying to regulate us. And that includes the word stop.
Yeah.
And they don't, they're taking on so many rights that they shouldn't have, and we need to stop them from assuming those rights.
I just wonder, is Galina there? That does she heard the term?
She is. What does the word stop? What comes
Because,
into
for
your mind?
example, for Jane, it was negative, like stop of life or stop of activity when you grow older and so on. Then we came to the conclusion that there are even positive stops. But the first what came to her mind was a negative.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word stop? Stop it. Knock it off.
Perfect.
What is the Russian word for stop? 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 Spelled the same way? Yes. Stop spelled the same way.
Hmm?
We were just marveling that all cultures around the world use the word stop. And so the traffic signs are stop signs. And all around the world, even though each of the other uh, languages has a word for stop in it, but they use
It is so.
what,
It is so.
whatever.
But it is interesting that it is one of the few words which we discuss in the last 3 years or almost four, which is exactly like that. This is what is fascinating for me.
I forget what other words are the same around the world.
I think it was Kiss recently, because kiss was very similar and everyone can imagine the kiss of two people. And I think that's all. I think stone is very specific because it's English, so I don't think stone was one of those. I think it was the kiss.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. I, like I say, I am actively trying not to use the word stop with my grandchildren.
What do you use instead? Do you use
Uh,
anything instead?
if I want them to um, they're going too far into the water, into the ocean, um, then I don't need them to stop immediately exactly where they are. I need them to consider whether or not they're going out too far. I try to get them to think of the consequences. Um, although the middle son, I don't know if you guys play basketball over there, and there are basketball hoops that are actually portable, and they're a metal thing that comes up at an angle, and then there's the backboard, and then the hoop. And so the number two grandson is a climber. He climbs on everything. And he was halfway up it before I saw him. but it's just pavement down below, and this is up 6 or 8 feet high, and I don't want him hitting that pavement from 6 or 8 feet. So I try to say something nice, not a command, but think about how that pavement's going to feel if you slip or something like that. But no, I don't have a secondary word stop, and I have used stop.
I think every one of us did so. And I generally hate the term stop when I was a child. Because of course I know everything better. And it kept with me until today.
The best stop is when you hear it and you know she doesn't mean it.
Oh, please stop.
Yeah.
Uh, Galena has made a contribution, and she would like to contribute the word stopper, rubber stopper, like in the bottom of a sink, prevents moving before the movement starts. Okay, stopper. There's also the word or the phrase, well, that's a showstopper. Something that just gets everybody's attention, and you can't go forward until you resolve this. That's a showstopper.
We use the term
Like,
stopper in a football game. One of the roles on the field is a stopper. I have no idea what he or she does because I do not watch any football, but it's called stopper as well.
I am not familiar with that.
When you are writing your book, is there any moment when you say stop? For example, to think more, or you are too tired and you know that it will not lead in the right direction. Do you say stop to yourself?
I I say, um, uh, yeah, I say I'm going to stop. It's not. This is not going any place good. I'm going to stop.
And you,
Kevin?
Kevin?
Yeah, I usually don't work beyond 8 hours in a day because there'd be too much editing to do after that.
You know what I find interesting when I am working too late and it's flowing. I oftentimes will come back the next day, and it's not the editing. Um, it's I'm just surprised at how good it came out. Um, because you would think that it would have to be early morning, top of my game, um, thinking brilliantly for it to come out like that. But I think what happens is that I think about um, my mind detaches from me and it goes on by itself. And I write it down and I come back later and say, I don't even remember thinking that. So
No.
You know I'm writing ahead of time, so my latest postcard will be published on November 20th, which is Friday. I can
it's my
tell
brother's
you,
birthday.
every single time, every single day from Monday to Friday, I'm asking myself who wrote this because I do not remember.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
don't remember.
it's it's so interesting that completely, and I have the memory loss. And just recently I've been with my dad. We have a cottage next to the river, and we sold it. My brother sold it, but I spent there my youth time and a lot of time. And there should be some plans on building up a hotel. It's not the location right, but there has been a lot of discussion. So I worried to go there. When we entered, it looks exactly the same like when I left it 10 or 15 years ago. It was so interesting. And my memories immediately came back. Of course, we stay in front of the fence because I want to enter. But even if I will find everything what was there at my time. So 50 years ago, I will find there again. And when I drive recently, my mom and my dad to some appointment, my mom asked me, because I told her the story, and she asked me, "Did your memories come back?" Because she thought that such a memory return is permanent. And this is interesting, it is not. As soon as we left the location, I lost it again. It's so interesting that the brain does not keep it. So it's not for me when I enter a school where I was not for, I don't know, 35 years. I am there, and it is for me the same like if I left yesterday. And I leave the door and it's not there. I don't know whether the brain stopped me from remembering or, let's say, damaging myself because in the 35 years or 50 years, there is a lot of good and bad memories. And the bad memories, of course, can hit you somehow. And maybe my stuttering will come back. And I don't know. But it is very interesting. So I'm not sure whether our brain is telling us stop, and whether this is the pre-programmed or whether this is something new. Not sure.
In fact, Michael, from there, you touch upon a unique human skill, which is knowing when to stop. And a unique human disability is never knowing when to stop.
And very few can say when it's enough. We already talked about it. If I just now is the season of conferences about climate, everything, whatever. Everybody speak about growth. Sometimes they mix into it Industry 5.0 and so on. This is how I came. United Nations, World Economic Forum released new reports, and the list is almost never ending. And they just want more. Why these people do not have this stop, the ability to stop, to recognize? Because just recently, I was listening to some recording out of a conference, and I realized it was a climate conference. And I realized that I saw the same speakers a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And they are still there, the same people, just older. And they deliver the same bullshit, because all three of us know we will not change the climate. It's not in human ability. But we can change our behavior. This is the basic of our ability. And still these people are paid to go there and speak the same lies generally, again and again and again. Of course, it's profitable for them, but it's horrible at the same time. I think it will be very interesting if there will be a stop sign on conferences. You have already been here, nothing changed, you cannot speak again.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. You
Yeah.
can get a stop sign from the road, and you can make a message, have your picture taken with the stop sign, and it said, stop talking. You've already been here. You've already discussed this. Nothing has changed.
There is a lot of construction work in this city of Pilsen. And I just have to laugh. I will show you this. I will send you this picture after. There is a sign which says, it's generally, you should not drive in this street. It's one side street or whatever. And it's generally red in the middle, and there is a white stripe in the middle. They try to open the street from driving from in the different direction because they need it. Otherwise, there will be no connection. And they put, I don't understand it. They put on the red street sign a red tape, which cut in the middle and should say, it's fine. Instead of exchanging the sign, it will be a 5 minutes work. They put the red type on a red sign. That was so hilarious that
So
I
that
have to
means
make the picture.
Stop your stopping. Stop stopping.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
the
know, you
stop
were
is stopped.
the stop is stopped. Yeah. When you're talking about what you have written ahead, and then when it gets to be that time, you don't remember having written it. We also talked about why do you write? Um, and I think what I was saying was, for me, I write to get it out of my head because I feel like it's my head is just a big empty like basketball or something, and all the stuff is just bouncing around inside. And I write to get it out of here, so I put it down on paper to get it out of here. So each of my books is about. Some of my books are about difficult times that I went through, or um, and I needed to get it out of my head. This was my therapy to get it out of my head. I have never reread any of them. The first book I wrote was 17 or 18 years ago, and I never reread it. It's on the shelf. They're all on the shelf. Never reread them. So I'm looking forward to. I'm going to reread them. Not for several years, I think, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing, to realizing, to understanding what was bouncing around in my head 20 or 25 years ago.
No, I don't know whether it was you, Bill, Kevin, or Mark after our last discussion, because we touched this topic as well. Someone of you wrote a quote from some famous author. I don't remember his name. He said, I do write because it was not written before me. That's a great quote. That's a simply great quote.
It's funny also because you have to write for yourself. I wrote the first act of a new comedy which takes place in Texas, and I sent it off to the production company, and I said it may be a little bit polarizing, and they came back and said, no, it's not polarizing. It'll upset everybody.
Was there any
Uh,
moment in your writing when you said, stop it. I do not want to write this? Me neither. I just don't think I do it exactly as Bill. I am just now sitting and it flows from here to here. I cannot dictate my books. I simply cannot, because it's the way from here to here, it's too short. The way from here to here, it's long enough for me to process it.
yeah, I understand. I understand that. I understand that perfectly. Uh, well, are we
So
going to come to a time today when we're going to stop?
it's generally
Please?
6 minutes left.
But I would say also when you're writing, you do suddenly know when it's going to stop.
Yeah,
I don't pre-plan the thing. It just flows through. But then you just hit the point. Okay, that's it. It's done.
that's it. Right. Right. I need to go back and make it pretty, but that's it.
Yeah.
Uh, for
Yep.
me, it
Every
was
time.
it was it was a development. Before, when I started with the time trip, and I realized it's a time trip record, I wrote one time trip per day. I was not able to write. Today, 1 week, which means 5 days, are written in a row. They flow from each other immediately, but I cannot do the 6 day. I have to wait for some time. But it's quite interesting how even this is changing. And even better is the response from people who read it at that day, who said, how did you know? I don't know. I simply don't know. I was there and I just describe it. But it's quite interesting how to see it. I don't know whether you have seen the latest analytics of Elon Musk promises being fulfilled. Have you seen that? Because he launched for IPO. There is a group of people who analyze generally all social media and all what he says and so on, for the last, not only for the time when he was in the government, but for the last, I don't know, 10 years, 12 years. I do not remember. It's in the newsletter. And they realize that he fulfilled only 19% of his promises.
19?
Yes, it's generally a Pareto rule. Unbelievable how accurate he was on that. And still he received a new funding and again and again and again, despite of every, what is it? Every fourth? No, it's more. Every fifth? Every fifth project, it's no-ject. Is it so? I am not good in math, so.
I suspect that it's a lot more than what those numbers say. I think giants are looking for nojects and then how to camouflage the nojects and how to bring their friends in and do favors, make the nojects be favors for friends. It's all about themselves. It's unbelievable. Uh, and it's unbelievable that we, as the public, don't see it, right? There's so many people that do not see it, and in fact, make up stories about why this is a good thing, and they can't see that this is so self-serving.
You know, just today in the morning, our finance minister, who says, among other, that debt is profit, so very wise women, she introduced a new pension reform. The last one, which was completely screw up, she introduced in her first time as a finance minister. And she said, I will do it that everyone who goes in a pension will 1.5 million Czech crowns as a guarantee, which is, I don't know, divided by 25 will be in US dollars or in euro, plus minus. And, you know, she wrote about it on LinkedIn, so I have to act. And I asked her, okay, will you cover the rest to the people who do not reach it? I don't know for what reason she did not reply, but blocked me. But it's maybe the best answer, you know. But the question is, in the last minute or last and half minute, 1.5 minutes, can we stop giants different way than the David did?
We can stop giants. I don't know how to stop the giants.
Kevin,
if it's a friend, I would block them. That's a stop.
Yeah, I think we can certainly boycott them. I'm so pleased my computer here, it has no Microsoft products in it, unless Zoom is a Microsoft product, but I try to avoid it. They're certainly not downloaded onto my computer, and I never have one again.
thank you for that. It's the last minute. It was a great conversation again. And I wish you have a nice time free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, be human, and don't be the stop sign for the development of others. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.